If you think the rules of a war are clear, then think again, because Vladimir Putin just proposed something that could change the course of Ukraine conflict entirely. The Russian president has floated the idea of placing Ukraine under temporary United Nations control to elect what he calls, and I quote, a more competent government. Well, yes, you heard that right. Putin is now suggesting that Ukraine's government be essentially dismantled and restructured under what? Under international supervision. To many, this is nothing short of a calculated attempt to delegitimize Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and stall the already fragile peace talks. What did Ukraine do? Ukraine wasted no time in calling Putin's suggestion, and I quote, crazy, arguing that it's just another move to delay real peace efforts. The proposal comes at a time when United States President Donald Trump is leading efforts to broker a truce, a peace deal, a process that has already seen limited success, including a short-lived ceasefire in the Black Sea. But with Russia now demanding the lifting of Western sanctions as a condition for further negotiations, critics argue that Putin is simply playing for trying. Putin claimed that a UN-backed administration could ensure fair elections and bring to power a Ukrainian government, and I quote, trusted by the people. But many see this as an attempt to create nothing but chaos rather than the stability. The reality is that holding elections in wartime Ukraine would be nearly impossible. Over 5 million Ukrainians remain displaced and hundreds of thousands are on the battlefield. Moscow has long dismissed Zelensky's legitimacy, arguing that his extended stay in office due to martial law and the ongoing war makes him unfit to negotiate a peace deal. Putin's call for election is seen as an effort to create doubts about Zelensky's authority. If Russia succeeds in forcing an election, it could divide Ukraine internally and weaken its resistance, its fight. The White House, while pushing for peace, has subtly echoed the narrative that Ukrainian government should be chosen by people, a stance that could play into Putin's hand. This isn't the first time UN control has been suggested for a war-torn region. Putin referred East Timor and parts of former Yugoslavia as precedents. But I have to tell you, the situation of Ukraine is quite different. Its leadership, despite the war, remains internationally recognized. And the idea of handing partial control to the United Nations, UN, is highly controversial. Zelensky's chief of staff dismissed Putin's remarks stating that Russia is deliberately stalling the peace process. Meanwhile, a US national security spokesperson reiterated that Ukraine's governance would be determined by its own constitution and its own people. Other country has nothing to do with it. At the same time, Putin remains confident that Russia holds a strategic initiative in this war. He recently told military officials that Moscow could, and I quote, finish off Ukrainian forces. However, despite his claims, Russian territorial gains have been slowed and limited. Putin's statement also comes just after a meeting in Paris between Zelensky and European leaders, while French President Emmanuel Macron announced plans for new Western-backed, and I quote, reassurance forces in Ukraine. While the details for this is unclear, the signal that Europe is not backing down is very clear. But one thing is certain, Putin is playing a long game, and how the world responds to this could determine Ukraine's fate for years to come.